Good afternoon, hun buns. Today is day 6 of my And So We Pray challenge. And today is, I'm sorry, see, and so we pray. And in this section, and so we pray, she basically goes over our, I guess, expectations when it comes to prayer. And most of the time, if you pray, and you feel like you prayed and days, weeks, months, sometimes even years go by, and whatever you pray for hasn't happened, you get discouraged and you, I guess, start thinking, like, what is the purpose for me actually praying? So, from my experience, initially when you were younger, you prayed because you felt like you basically pray so God could get, and I can't really speak for everyone because everybody's spiritual maturity comes at different times in their life. For myself, it wasn't until I got older I began to actually understand. I did understand it to a certain extent, I'll say that. But for the most part, I was just praying, just, oh God, and this is what I want. And when I wouldn't get it, I would not go to church or would slack off, not totally stop going to church, but basically slack off in going to church. So, um, that's what I think when I was younger. That I can only speak for myself. So when I was younger, that was my, I guess, my prayer life. It depended on how God blessed me. And basically, in this chapter, she informs us that we have to continue to pray regardless of what's going on in our life. We have to pray through the good and the bad. And basically, praying through the bad, God blesses us with good, because even though we do have those storms, things that happen in our life, they only prepare us for what God truly has for us. And sometimes we go through different things in our life just to get to that point. So my first thing, I am still writing, just so you all can see. I am still writing in my journal. And on the first one, it says God requests come on God's timing. Basically, just because it doesn't come at that time does not mean that it's not going to happen. Secondly, the process in between, like Yanavan says in the meantime, in your meantime is when you get to know yourself. You get to understand your struggles. You understand your weaknesses as well as your strengths. So that's a part of also becoming a better person. Relief prayer, my heart was very heavy. So I know that sometimes it gets to the point where, I would say about 2 years ago, it was a lot of stuff going on, not only in my relationship, um, just my relationships period. I guess with my friends, with my partner, it was just a lot. And you know, we go to church together, but it was, I don't know, it just felt like we were drifting in two different separate directions. And it was at that point we basically needed to take a break. And it wasn't by choice at that time, it was by force. Basically came home, and some, well, most of his stuff was gone. So I guess it was that time where I prayed, because I was, at that time I felt like I was sick of the things that we were going through. I felt like we were better than that. We've been together for so many years, so we shouldn't be going through the trials that we were going through. I knew him, he knew me. But I think it gets to a point in your life where, I'm not gonna say that you outgrow. Sometimes you do outgrow people, but not only do you outgrow people, but I think it's situations that you outgrow, because oftentimes we become complacent and just feel like this is how a person is, or this is how I am. You better accept it or deal with it. And at that point, he dealt with it, and that was his way in dealing with it. We talk through things, and things are much better now, but that was just something that, a relief prayer. And I found myself crying a lot. What did I do wrong? And it really wasn't what did wrong, it was what we were doing wrong. I think you have to adjust after so many years of being together. You have to adjust with a person, and that's basically what we had to do. And it says prayer for me keeps me on track, and I think that's what I said in either day two or three. A lot of people, um, like I can, let's see how to say it. If I miss church, I feel different. Like I have to, like I'm not gonna lie to you. Last Sunday, I did not go to church because I was in Lake Charles. So I didn't get to go to church. Even though I do stream, I can't remember what I was doing, but I don't know. It just I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't into it. So I didn't go. And I'm not gonna say I still read my daily bread and still read affirmations, but it's just like my my week. I had a good week. It wasn't a bad week, but it's just like I felt off. So second thing, I'm sorry about that. Hold on. Sorry about that. So the second thing are things aren't always good, but with prayer they're better. And yes, prayer does make things better. I know. I'm gonna say this. When I got after I got baptized, that day it was a Sunday, and I got baptized. After we left, we went and ate at Piccadilly. That's like one of my favorite spots. But we went and ate at Piccadilly, and I went home. And I'm not going to lie to you. After my grandmother passed, I was having problems with sleeping. I already had a smidge of sleep apnea, but it seemed like it got worse, and I was just restless. So it's like after I got baptized, I don't know if it was attributed to the water being warm because Lord hammers, that water was so warm. And it felt like the first time I got baptized, I remember I was 11 or 12 and my grandfather was a preacher. Union Grove Progressive Baptist Church on Tuscaloosa Avenue. That's really the street name and that's really the church. But I got baptized and the water was freezing cold. So I don't know if the correlation with the water being cold shell shocked me at that time. But when I got into the water was warm. The people at Bethany were warm. And it's just like some type, I don't know, it's just like something lifted off of me that day. And I have just been different since that day. So it's just it was a difference. So I slept better, and I even remember waking up and telling him like I slept so good. And I used to have to take Ambien and sleep medication for me to sleep, but now since I do have a new position as well, so my days are not as stressful, and it's just like it's all coming together. That's what I will say. So the next thing is I trust God because of our past history. When I say that, and in her book she says about her relationship with God as well, I trust God because I know all of the things that He has brought me through, the loss of loved ones, the actual keeping me when I was depressed or when I was down, and it was just a lot of things and issues with life. It was just a lot. So I felt better. Okay. And lastly, how he's been there and continues to be there for me. And I love God for, even though some I know often I fail him, I say that I'm going to do something and I don't do it, but he has not failed me like I have failed him. And my whole purpose for this 40-day journey is to get closer with God. I do read my daily bread. I do attend church. I'm trying to add in Bible study with that as well, trying to see how, I think it'll Bible study will be a little bit more feasible for me when school is out because we're getting the kids and it's just a lot for, eat, preparing meals, and it's a lot. So I know you make time for what you need to, and that's what I'm going to do. So this is the end of day 6 for me. And I hope you guys are enjoying this just as much as I am. I am learning a lot about myself, my relationship with God, because there's a difference between believing in God and actually having a relationship with God. My goal at the end of this is to have a closer relationship with God. So I hope you all enjoy the video. Please make sure to rate, comment, subscribe, and thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up. Yeah. Thumbs up. Yeah. 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 Okay. So I do appreciate you all for watching, and you all have a great Sunday.